The Galactic Council's Grand Chamber was unlike anything seen on Earth. It floated silently above a bright golden star, shaped like a massive crystal dome. Hundreds of representatives from hundreds of different alien civilizations filled the chamber. Some had shapes humans could not describe. Floating orbs of light, beings with many limbs, creatures that shimmered with colors that shifted with their thoughts. Yet despite their differences, they all shared one goal: to protect the galaxy and maintain peace. The council was in session. A murmur of voices filled the air, each language translated instantly by the chamber's advanced systems. The subject on everyone's mind was humanity. The humans were young, yet they had grown faster than almost any other species in recorded galactic history. They had gone from a planet-bound civilization to a species that could travel between stars in less than a century. The lead speaker, a being called Theron, a tall creature covered in silvery scales, rose from his seat. His voice echoed in the chamber, calm but stern. "The humans," Theron began, "have expanded too quickly. Their growth is reckless. Their technology surpasses even our expectations, but their understanding of interstellar diplomacy is almost non-existent." A ripple of agreement passed through the council. Another representative, a floating luminescent sphere named Lyra, spoke next. "They have not yet made meaningful contact with other species, except through trade or colonization," she said. "We fear that if humans continue this path without guidance, they may ignite conflicts that could destabilize entire regions of space." The council chamber fell silent. Every representative understood the weight of these words. In centuries of interstellar history, no species had risen so fast while remaining so naive. Theron continued, "We have decided to issue a formal warning to Earth. They must slow their expansion, learn diplomacy, and respect the territories of other civilizations. If they ignore this warning, the consequences could be severe." Across the galaxy, on Earth, life was moving at a very different pace. Cities stretched tall into the clouds. Spaceports hummed with activity. Starships launched daily to nearby planets, bringing explorers, scientists, and settlers. The human race was proud of its achievements. On Earth's capital station orbiting Mars, Captain Mira Solis watched the news feed from the Galactic Council. She was young, barely 30 years old, but already a talented diplomat. Her brown eyes reflected worry as she listened to the council's message. "They are serious," she muttered to herself. "This is not just advice. It is a warning. If we ignore it, there could be consequences we cannot handle." Her assistant, a cheerful engineer named Jonas, looked over from his console. "Mira, are you worried about the humans in the council?" "We have enough ships and weapons to protect ourselves. We can handle anything out there." Mira shook her head. "It's not about weapons. It's about understanding. We have barely begun to meet other civilizations, and yet we act as if we own the galaxy. If we offend the wrong species, they could destroy us before we even realize the danger." Jonas shrugged. "We're humans. We survive. That's what we do." Mira smiled faintly but did not reply. She knew his optimism came from pride, and pride could be dangerous. The next week, Earth's leaders gathered in a massive conference hall on the capital station. Mira presented the council's warning, using every word she could to make them understand the gravity of the situation. "The Galactic Council has seen our progress," she said. "They are impressed, yes, but they are also concerned. They want us to slow our expansion and learn diplomacy before we make first contact with other species." The leaders exchanged uneasy glances. The president of Earth, an older woman with gray hair and sharp eyes, finally spoke. "Mira, with all due respect, humanity cannot slow down," she said firmly. "We have colonies that need resources, people who need homes. Our expansion is necessary for survival. The Council's warning is noted, but we cannot halt our progress for fear of—" "What exactly?" Mira's heart sank. She had expected resistance, but not outright dismissal. "For fear of conflict, for fear of misunderstanding, for fear that our actions may make enemies before we are ready." The leaders nodded politely, but their decision was clear. They would continue their expansion. Mira left the meeting quietly, knowing that her warnings had fallen on deaf ears. Days passed and humanity continued its rapid growth. Starships launched to unexplored planets. Colonists built new cities under alien suns. Scientists developed technologies that could bend energy, travel faster than light, and even terraform small planets. The human race was unstoppable, but also unprepared for the larger galaxy. On one of these colonies, a young engineer named Eli Navarro tested a new propulsion system on a small scout ship. As the engines hummed and the ship lifted off, he felt a sense of pride. "This is humanity's future," he said aloud. "Nothing can stop us now." Meanwhile, Captain Mira monitored reports from various colonies. She noticed small signs that other species were beginning to observe human activity. One report mentioned a distant alien fleet moving suspiciously near a human colony. Another spoke of trade ships being intercepted by unknown vessels. Mira contacted Earth's leaders immediately. "We need to be careful," she warned. "Other civilizations are watching us, and not all of them will be friendly. We need to send envoys, build relations, and learn their rules." But again, the response was the same. Humanity was too focused on its own goals. "Mira, we appreciate your concern," said the president. "But humanity will continue its path. We have the right to expand, and we will defend ourselves if anyone challenges us." Mira sighed, knowing that the Council's warning had been ignored. The seeds of future conflict had already been sown. One night, while staring at the stars from her quarters, Mira thought of the Council chamber and the strange, glowing beings who had warned Earth. She imagined them shaking their heads, knowing that humans would not listen until it was too late. "They will have to learn," she whispered to herself, "and I hope it is not too late." Far above Earth, in the cold darkness of space, alien sensors continued to track human activity. Small fleets moved quietly, observing human colonies, gathering information. Some were curious, others wary, and a few were openly hostile. On Earth, humans celebrated their achievements. Festivals lit up the colonies, songs were sung, and speeches praised humanity's greatness. Few paused to think of the galaxy beyond, or of the consequences of their rapid expansion. Captain Mira Solis, however, remained vigilant. She began preparing a plan, not just to warn humanity, but to teach them the importance of patience, understanding, and diplomacy. She knew that one day the galaxy would test humanity. When that day came, only those who were ready would survive and thrive. The first part of humanity's galactic journey was coming to an end. The warning had been given. The choice to ignore it had been made. And somewhere in the dark, silent reaches of space, forces watched, waited, and prepared. Mira felt the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders. She could not stop humanity's growth, but she could guide it. She could plant the seeds of understanding, hope, and courage. And so, as the twin suns of a distant colony set on human cities, she made a promise to herself. Humanity would learn. They would face the galaxy not as reckless children, but as a species worthy of its place among the stars. The stars shimmered indifferent yet beautiful, as if watching and waiting for humanity to take its first true step into the wider universe. The stars were quiet that day, or at least they seemed quiet. From the bridge of the human starship Intrepid, Captain Mira Solis watched the galaxy stretch endlessly before her. For years, humans had expanded beyond their solar system, building colonies on distant planets, sending research ships into unknown space, and establishing trade routes. Yet this was different. The Intrepid approached a system at the edge of known space. Sensors detected a planet with a dense atmosphere, rich in minerals and teeming with life. It was perfect for colonization. Human leaders had already planned a settlement there, and the ship's crew prepared for the landing. But then, something unexpected appeared on the sensors. A fleet of alien ships unlike anything humans had seen before. They glimmered in green and blue, shaped like floating triangles that shimmered with energy. Their movements were precise, calculated, and unmistakably cautious. Mira's brow furrowed. "Bring them up on the main screen," she ordered. The bridge crew watched as the alien ships rotated slowly, scanning the Intrepid. Communication signals were attempted, but the aliens did not respond. Instead, their ships formed a defensive pattern around the planet. "Captain," said First Officer Jonas, his voice tight with worry. "They're surrounding the planet. They seem ready to attack if we try to land." Mira took a deep breath. She had hoped humanity would meet alien civilizations peacefully, but now it seemed the galaxy was testing them. "Open all channels. Try to send a message in universal code. We need to make contact before this turns into a conflict." For hours the humans tried. The aliens did not reply. Then suddenly the fleet moved. One ship fired a warning shot near a human scout vessel. The beam did not strike, but it sent a clear message. Humans were not welcome. On the Intrepid, alarms blared. Crew members scrambled to stations, activating shields and preparing defensive systems. Mira felt a mix of fear and determination. This was the first true test of humanity in space, and they could not fail. "Do not fire unless fired upon," she said firmly. "We are explorers, not aggressors. We must show them that humanity seeks peace." The aliens, however, were not willing to wait. Another warning shot hit closer to a human colony already under construction. Panic spread among the colonists who had no idea of the danger above. Mira knew something had to be done. She called a private meeting with her senior officers. "We need to understand them," she said. "We cannot win in a direct fight. They are too advanced, and they have numbers. But humans have something they may not expect: creativity and unpredictability. We need to find a way to communicate and show that we mean no harm." Her science officer, Dr. Lyra Voss, nodded. "Captain, we can try sending a ship in with only a small team, unarmed, to make first contact." "It will be risky, but it might work," Mira agreed. "Prepare the ship. I will lead the team." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Galactic Council watched human actions closely. Representatives murmured among themselves as sensors relayed images of the confrontation. "They are reckless," Theron said quietly, his eyes on the display. "They have ignored our warnings, and now they are walking into danger. But I see something different. There is courage, determination, and something we have not seen in many civilizations. They are not predictable, that is interesting." Back on the Intrepid, Mira and her team entered a small scout ship, sleek and fast with no weapons. They approached the alien fleet cautiously. Every crew member knew the risks. One misstep could trigger a battle that humanity was not ready to fight. As they drew closer, an alien ship detached from the formation. It hovered silently, observing them. Then unexpectedly, a beam of light extended from the ship, scanning the humans. The team froze, unsure what the aliens were doing. Finally, a holographic projection appeared in front of them, a being with many limbs glowing faintly with energy, and speaking in a language the universal translator struggled to interpret. Mira took a deep breath. "We come in peace," she said firmly. "We mean no harm. We wish to learn about your world and to share knowledge. We are explorers, not invaders." The alien being tilted its many heads, observing the humans. Slowly the voice was translated. "You are young," it said. "Your presence here is dangerous. You do not understand the rules of the galaxy. Your kind grows too fast. Why should we trust you?" Mira's heart pounded, but she did not falter. "We have much to learn. We may be young, but we are willing to understand, to follow the rules, and to cooperate. We seek friendship, not conflict." The alien paused. After what seemed like hours, it finally spoke again. "Your intentions may be true, but your actions are reckless. You have already angered others. You must leave this system and reconsider your place in the galaxy." Mira nodded. "We will leave if it is necessary, but we hope that one day we can prove ourselves worthy of trust." The projection disappeared, and the alien fleet slowly moved back into formation. The humans exhaled in relief. They had survived the encounter, but they knew the danger was far from over. Back on the Intrepid, Mira gathered her team. "We have learned something important," she said. "They are not our enemies yet, but they will watch us closely. We must be careful. Humanity cannot act without thinking. Our next moves will decide our future in the galaxy." On Earth, news of the encounter spread quickly. Some leaders celebrated human courage. Others were worried. Many humans, however, did not understand the seriousness of the event. They saw it as another adventure, another challenge to overcome. Mira knew that misunderstanding could be humanity's greatest weakness. The galaxy was not a place for recklessness. Every decision had consequences, and humans had yet to learn that lesson fully. In the following days, more reports arrived. Other alien civilizations were beginning to monitor human activity. Some were curious, some cautious, and a few were openly hostile. The galaxy was not welcoming to a species that moved so fast without understanding the rules. Mira worked tirelessly, sending messages, building relations with those who were willing to communicate. She began drafting plans for diplomacy, alliances, and learning programs for humans. Her goal was simple but vital. Humanity had to survive, and to survive, they needed to understand the galaxy. Meanwhile, humans continued to expand, building new colonies on distant planets. Some colonists ignored the warnings entirely, believing their technology and courage would protect them. Others looked to Mira for guidance, trusting her knowledge and foresight. One night, Mira stood on the observation deck of the Intrepid, staring at the stars. The galaxy seemed beautiful, yet dangerous. Somewhere out there, forces were watching, waiting, and deciding humanity's fate. "We cannot be reckless," she whispered. We have to learn. We have to grow. And we have to prove that humanity deserves its place among the stars. Her assistant, Jonas, joined her silently. Do you think we can? He asked. Mira turned to him, her eyes shining with determination. We must. We will face challenges, mistakes, and dangers we cannot yet imagine. But humans, we survive. And sometimes that is enough to change the course of history. As the night passed, the Intrepid prepared to leave the alien system. The encounter had not resulted in war, but it had sent a clear message. Humanity was not yet ready for the galaxy, and yet, it had something powerful: creativity, courage, and determination. Somewhere far beyond, in the darkness of space, the alien fleets returned to their patrols. Some were impressed by humanity's bravery, others remained suspicious, and the galaxy waited, knowing that the next encounter could decide the future of an entire species. For Captain Mira Solis and her crew, the first contact was just the beginning. Humanity had survived the first test, but they had learned a hard lesson. In the vastness of space, bravery alone was not enough. Understanding, patience, and strategy would be needed if they were to thrive among the stars. And so, with the Intrepid moving silently into the unknown, humanity's journey continued, full of wonder, danger, and the promise of greatness, if they could only learn from the first encounter and prepare for the challenges ahead. The galaxy was not forgiving. Captain Mira Solis had warned Earth and its colonies, but her words were often ignored. Humans continued to expand, colonizing new worlds, sending starships deeper into unexplored space, and building more advanced technology than ever before. Their progress was remarkable, but with it came new dangers they had not yet imagined. Reports came in from the outer colonies. Small attacks, strange signals, ships vanishing without warning. At first, Earth's leaders dismissed them as accidents, mechanical failures, or minor misunderstandings. But Mira knew better. The galaxy had noticed humanity, and not all observers were friendly. On the Intrepid, Mira reviewed the latest reports with her senior officers. The starship was stationed near one of the newest colonies, a mining settlement on a rocky planet with a thin, breathable atmosphere. Sensors showed unusual activity in nearby space, a fleet of alien ships moving toward the colony's orbit. They're coming again, Jonas said, tension in his voice. This time it's not a warning. They're testing us, Mira nodded. Prepare the colony defenses, alert the settlers, and send a message to the Galactic Council. They need to see what happens when humanity ignores the warnings. The fleet arrived swiftly, surrounding the colony. The aliens' movements were precise, almost surgical. They had superior numbers, better weapons, and knowledge of advanced strategies that humans had never faced. Despite the humans' best preparations, the aliens quickly disabled several mining facilities with non-lethal energy blasts, enough to stop production and send a clear message without harming the settlers. Mira's heart sank. Humanity was strong, but it was not invincible. She knew that if they continued to ignore the consequences, the situation could become far worse. She contacted the alien fleet through universal channels. We mean no harm, she said firmly. We only wish to work peacefully. Please do not escalate this conflict. The response came slowly, translated into a calm but firm voice. You have ignored warnings. Your actions endanger the stability of this system. We do not seek to destroy you, but you must understand. Consequences are inevitable when reckless behavior continues. Mira looked at her crew. This is our reality. The galaxy is larger and more complex than we realized, and we are still young in its ways. We have to act carefully or risk everything we've built. As the alien fleet withdrew slightly, Mira and her team assessed the situation. Human engineers worked tirelessly to repair the damaged facilities. Settlers were shaken but unharmed. The lesson was clear. Humans could survive, but survival alone would not earn them respect. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council, representatives watched closely. Theron spoke to his fellow council members. They have ignored our warning. Now they face consequences, yet I sense something remarkable. They are resilient. Even under pressure, they find ways to survive. There is potential in this species. Back on Earth, news of the attack spread quickly. Panic gripped some colonies, while others were inspired by the human ability to survive and recover. Mira knew that humanity needed more than courage. They needed strategy, alliances, and understanding of the wider galaxy. Determined to prevent further escalation, Mira proposed a bold plan. She suggested sending envoys to smaller, less aggressive civilizations to establish alliances. Humans had the technology, the curiosity, and the courage, but they needed guidance from those who understood the galaxy's rules. The plan was approved, though reluctantly. A small team of humans led by Mira traveled to the outer systems, visiting alien worlds, learning their customs, and forming agreements. It was a slow and delicate process, but gradually, humans began earning cautious respect. Some alien civilizations admired human ingenuity. Others were intrigued by their adaptability, and a few saw potential allies in the unpredictable species. During one mission, Mira and her team discovered a hidden planet, long forgotten by most civilizations. Its surface held remnants of ancient technology, machines capable of immense energy control and advanced propulsion systems. Mira realized that if humans could adapt these discoveries, they could protect themselves and their colonies more effectively. Dr. Lyra Voss studied the technology tirelessly. "Captain, this could change everything," she said. "We could defend our colonies without relying on brute force, and we could explore new regions of space safely." Mira nodded thoughtfully. "But we must be careful. Using this recklessly could anger the galaxy even more. We have to balance power with responsibility." Meanwhile, the alien civilizations continued observing humanity. Some fleets patrolled near human colonies, while others sent spies to monitor human activities. Humans were growing stronger and faster than most species had expected, but with every success, the potential for conflict increased. One evening, Mira received a report from a distant colony. An alien faction, angry about human expansion, had formed a blockade around several human settlements. They demanded that humans retreat and respect their territories. Mira felt the weight of responsibility heavier than ever. "We cannot retreat completely," she said. "These colonies are homes now. We have to find a way to resolve this without triggering full-scale war." She called a council of allied civilizations, hoping to mediate the situation. Diplomats from several species attended, some cautious, some skeptical. Mira spoke passionately. "Humanity has made mistakes," she admitted. "We acted without understanding, and for that we apologize. But we also seek peace and cooperation. We hope that by working together we can find solutions that benefit all of us, not just one species." The council debated for hours. Some leaders were willing to give humans a chance, impressed by their honesty and courage. Others remained wary, warning that any misstep could be catastrophic. Mira listened carefully, learning the ways of negotiation, compromise, and patience. It was during these discussions that Mira realized a vital truth. Humanity's greatest strength was not just its technology or courage, it was its ability to adapt, to learn, and to collaborate. Unlike other species, humans could change quickly, invent solutions on the spot, and see possibilities where others saw obstacles. Despite progress, the consequences of earlier recklessness were clear. Some human colonies had suffered losses, resources destroyed, infrastructure damaged, and settlers frightened. The galaxy was not forgiving to those who ignored rules, and humans had learned that lesson painfully. Mira returned to the Intrepid, tired but resolute. She looked out at the stars, thinking of all the civilizations that watched humanity's every move. The universe was vast, dangerous, and full of unknowns, yet she felt a spark of hope. Humanity had survived the first test, and now they were learning. Jonas approached her quietly. "Captain, do you really think we can survive this?" Mira turned to him, her eyes steady. "We have to. We may face consequences for our past mistakes, but humans are strong, creative, and determined. If we learn from our errors, build alliances, and act wisely, we can not only survive, we can thrive." The next day, a message arrived from one of the alien factions that had attacked earlier. It was brief, but it carried weight. "We are watching. Learn quickly or you will not survive." Mira studied the message carefully. She knew it was both a warning and an opportunity. Humans had the chance to prove themselves, to show the galaxy that they could be responsible, cooperative, and brave. She called her team together. "This is our reality," she said. "We have made mistakes, but we are learning. The galaxy will test us, and we will be judged by our actions. We must prepare, adapt, and show that humanity deserves its place among the stars." For the first time, The full scope of the galaxy's complexity became clear to the human crew. There were allies to be found, enemies to be wary of, and mysteries to explore. Every decision mattered. Every action had consequences. Yet amid the danger and uncertainty, Mira felt a quiet confidence. Humanity had survived before. Against odds that should have been impossible, they had creativity, courage, and the ability to learn. And now, for the first time, they were beginning to understand the galaxy, not just as a place to conquer, but as a living network of civilizations with rules, traditions, and expectations. As the Intrepid continued its patrol near the outer colonies, Mira looked toward the distant stars. Somewhere out there, forces watched, waiting, and judging. Humanity had faced the first consequences of its actions, but it was not broken. It had survived, learned, and grown stronger. The galaxy was still dangerous, but for the first time, humans were beginning to see themselves as part of something larger, and that realization, small as it seemed, might be the key to surviving and thriving among the stars. The stars shimmered silently, indifferent yet full of possibility. Humanity had taken the first hard steps into the wider galaxy, and the consequences had begun. But Captain Mira Solis knew one thing with certainty. Humans were not easily defeated, and the galaxy had yet to see the best of them. The galaxy had tested humanity, and humanity had survived. But survival alone was not enough. Captain Mira Solis knew that humans needed more than courage. They needed allies, strategy, and a deeper understanding of the galaxy's many civilizations. The Intrepid moved quietly through uncharted space. Its mission had changed. No longer was it merely exploring. Now it was building relationships. Mira had formed a plan to approach smaller, peaceful civilizations, species that valued cooperation over conflict. She hoped these allies could help humanity survive the larger, more aggressive forces that watched them closely. The first destination was a planet called Nivara, home to a species known as the Luthari. They were tall, thin beings with translucent skin that glowed softly in the moonlight. The Luthari were intelligent and cautious, preferring negotiation to warfare. Humans had little knowledge of them, but Mira believed that earning their trust could set an example for other civilizations. As the Intrepid entered Nivara's orbit, Mira addressed her crew. This mission is not about proving strength. It's about proving that humans can work together, learn and respect others. Our future depends on it. The landing was delicate. Nivara's cities were unlike anything humans had seen. Towers of crystal that shimmered in the sunlight, roads that floated above the ground, and gardens that glowed with bioluminescent plants. Humans were in awe, but they remained focused on their goal: diplomacy. Mira and her team were greeted by the Luthari Council, a group of elders who studied the humans carefully. Mira stepped forward and bowed slightly, a sign of respect she had learned from ancient human traditions and universal customs. "We come in peace," she said. "We seek friendship and cooperation. Humanity has made mistakes, but we are learning. We hope to work together for the benefit of all species," the Luthari observed silently. One elder, her skin glowing a soft green, finally spoke. "Your words are sincere," she said. "But words alone are not enough. Trust must be earned through actions." Mira nodded. "Then we will show you. We will work to prove that humanity can be responsible and reliable." Over the next weeks, humans and Luthari worked together on various projects. Human engineers helped repair old Luthari infrastructure, while Luthari scientists shared knowledge of energy systems and advanced navigation techniques. Slowly, trust began to grow. The Luthari realized that humans were resourceful, creative, and adaptable, qualities they respected deeply. Meanwhile, news of humanity's cooperation spread to nearby star systems. Other civilizations began to take notice. Some were curious, others cautious, but all recognized a change. Humans were no longer merely reckless explorers. They were learning, adapting, and forming alliances. Back on the Intrepid, Mira received reports from other colonies. Small skirmishes had decreased as alien civilizations now hesitated to attack humans openly. They had seen humans work with the Luthari and understood that humanity was not entirely reckless. But challenges remained. Some aggressive factions continued to test human colonies, sending scout ships to observe and occasionally harass. Mira knew that patience and strategy were essential. Humans could not match every alien species in technology or numbers, but they could outthink them, adapt, and surprise them with ingenuity. During one operation, Humans discovered an abandoned space station in a remote system. Its technology was ancient, but it held vast potential. Dr. Alara Voss studied it tirelessly, finding ways to improve human communication systems and energy shields. Mira realized that if humans combined their creativity with the knowledge of allied species, they could develop capabilities beyond what anyone expected. As humans strengthened, they also began teaching other civilizations what they had learned from experience. Settlers shared ideas about cooperation, creativity, and adaptability. Humans were becoming more than explorers. They were becoming examples of resilience and courage. One day, a message arrived from a human colony under pressure from a nearby hostile faction. The settlers had been trapped by a blockade, unable to communicate or receive supplies. Mira acted swiftly. Using a combination of human ingenuity and Luthari technology, the Intrepid broke through the blockade without firing a single shot. The settlers cheered as the blockade was lifted. Mira addressed them over the comm system. "This is what humans can achieve when we work together. With our allies, with our minds, and with our courage. The galaxy is challenging, but we are learning, and we will not be defeated." The success sent waves throughout the galaxy. Some of the aggressive factions reconsidered their stance, realizing that humans were not easily defeated. Others began approaching humanity for discussions, curious about their growing alliances and inventive tactics. Mira realized a vital truth. Humanity's rise was not due to sheer strength, but to creativity, cooperation, and determination. They could adapt, innovate, and find solutions where others saw obstacles. Unlike many civilizations, humans could combine courage with thought, bravery with diplomacy, and instinct with learning. In the Galactic Council, the mood had shifted. Representatives watched as humans formed alliances, defended colonies without violence, and learned from past mistakes. Theron spoke to his colleagues. "They have survived the consequences of their recklessness," he said. "But now they rise not as threats, but as a species capable of growth and cooperation. Perhaps they are more than we expected." Mira, meanwhile, continued her travels. She visited planets, spoke to alien leaders, and learned the customs of countless civilizations. Humans were growing stronger not just in technology, but in understanding. They began to see the galaxy not as a place to conquer, but as a network of civilizations, each with rules, values, and knowledge to share. On one distant planet, Mira met a species called the Zarathi, who had faced war for centuries. They were skeptical of humans at first, but after witnessing human ingenuity and cooperation with other allies, they offered support. Mira realized that humanity's ability to learn quickly, adapt, and collaborate was building a reputation that no one could ignore. Back on the Intrepid, Mira reflected on the journey. Humanity had faced warnings, consequences, and challenges. They had survived attacks, learned the rules of diplomacy, and formed alliances with other species. The galaxy had begun to recognize that humans were not merely reckless children. They were a species with courage, creativity, and potential. Jonas approached her quietly one evening. "Captain, do you think we've changed how the galaxy sees us?" he asked. Mira smiled. "We have. Some still fear us. Some still doubt us. But many have begun to respect us. Humanity is rising, Jonas. We are not perfect, but we are learning. And sometimes, learning is the most powerful tool of all." The stars outside the observation deck shimmered like diamonds, vast and endless. The galaxy was still full of dangers, mysteries, and unknown civilizations. But humanity had begun to prove that it could survive, adapt, and thrive. Their journey was far from over, but the first steps of their rise had been taken. Mira knew that the future would bring more challenges, more tests, and more opportunities. Humanity had faced the consequences of its earlier mistakes, but now it was rising, earning respect, and showing the galaxy that they could be allies, innovators, and brave explorers. As the Intrepid continued its journey through the stars, Mira felt hope. The galaxy was vast and full of unknowns, but humanity had the courage, the intelligence, and the creativity to navigate it. They were no longer reckless children of the stars. They were a species on the rise, ready to face whatever the universe had in store. And somewhere, in the vast reaches of space, alien civilizations watched, some with admiration, some with caution, all aware that humanity was no longer the species to be ignored. The rise of humans had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy had changed, Captain Mira Solis watched the stars from the bridge of the Intrepid, reflecting on how far humanity had come. Once reckless and naive, humans had survived warnings, attacks, and misunderstandings. They had formed alliances, adapted, and learned to navigate the complexities of the galaxy. But this was not the end. The greatest challenge still awaited them, a test that would decide whether humanity could claim its place among the stars. Reports had arrived from multiple sectors. A coalition of aggressive alien factions, angered by human expansion, was moving towards several human colonies. The fleet was enormous, far larger than anything humans had faced before. Unlike previous skirmishes, these fleets were coordinated, intelligent, and uncompromising. Their goal was clear: to punish humanity and remind the galaxy that reckless expansion had consequences. Mira called an emergency meeting with her senior officers. "This is the moment we've been preparing for," she said. "We cannot fight with strength alone. We must use strategy, alliances, and every advantage we have gained. The galaxy is watching. Our actions now will decide our future." Jonas, ever loyal and brave, nodded. "We've survived before, Captain. We can do it again. But we need to be smart. This time there is no margin for error." Mira turned to Dr. Ilara Voss. "Can our allies reach us in time?" Ilara studied the displays. "Yes. The Luthari fleets and some smaller allies are already on the way. We may be outnumbered, but we are not without support." The plan was daring. Humans and their allies would create a trap, using knowledge of the terrain and human ingenuity to outmaneuver the larger, more powerful fleets. It was risky, but it leveraged what made humans unique: creativity, unpredictability, and the ability to work together under pressure. As the alien fleets approached the outer colonies, human defenses were ready. Energy shields rose, starships took positions, and colonies prepared for evacuation if necessary. Mira's voice echoed across the Intrepid. "Stay calm, stay focused. Humanity's strength is not just in our ships, it is in our minds, our courage, and our unity. Let's show the galaxy what we can do." The first clash began near a mining colony. Alien ships attacked swiftly, using advanced weapons designed to disable human ships. Yet humans, guided by Mira's strategy and the knowledge shared by allies, used clever maneuvers, decoys, and energy disruptions to confuse the attackers. They avoided destruction and caused the alien fleet to scatter in confusion. Meanwhile, the Luthari and other allied species arrived, coordinating with humans to cut off escape routes and protect colonies. Humans had learned to communicate quickly, adapt to unexpected changes, and turn the tide even when outnumbered. Captain Mira led the Intrepid into the heart of the battle. She focused not on destruction, but on control. Human tactics were unpredictable. They combined speed, intelligence, and careful diplomacy. Mid-conflict, alien fleets expecting a simple fight found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. The turning point came when humans and allies used the ancient technology discovered on a hidden planet. Energy amplifiers enhanced shields and created strategic diversions that allowed human ships to outflank the alien fleet. The aggressors were forced to retreat, unable to predict human strategies and unsure of the humans' growing power. After the battle, silence fell across the colonies. Humans and their allies had survived. Not only had they defended their homes, but they had done so without unnecessary destruction. Captain Mira called a meeting with the leaders of the allied species. "We have shown that humans are not reckless conquerors," she said. "We fight to protect, to learn, and to survive. But we also respect life and cooperation. Humanity is ready to be a responsible member of the galaxy." The allied leaders nodded. They had witnessed courage, intelligence, and diplomacy in action. The humans' adaptability and willingness to learn had earned respect. For the first time, many species truly saw humans as equals, capable of rising to challenges beyond their own worlds. News of the victory spread to the Galactic Council. Representatives from hundreds of civilizations gathered, observing reports and data from the battle. Theron, the silvery-scaled council member, spoke first. "They have survived consequences, formed alliances, and demonstrated creativity in battle," he said. "They have shown not just courage, but wisdom. Humanity is no longer a young, reckless species. They have proven themselves capable of growth and cooperation. Perhaps they deserve their place among us." Mira received an official communication from the council. They requested her presence for a formal meeting, where humans would be recognized for their resilience, courage, and rapid development. The journey to the council chamber was tense. Humans had never been welcomed in such a place with full respect. The chamber itself was enormous, its crystal walls glowing with the light of distant stars. Representatives from every civilization watched silently as Mira entered. Theron addressed the council. Humanity has faced warnings, consequences, and tests. They have survived attacks, built alliances, and learned the complexities of galactic diplomacy. They have shown adaptability, creativity, and courage. Humanity is ready to take its place as a responsible member of the interstellar community. Mira stepped forward, her voice calm and firm. We thank the Council for its guidance. Humanity has made mistakes, but we have learned. We have faced challenges that have tested our courage, intelligence, and determination. We seek to work together with all civilizations, to learn, and to contribute to the galaxy's peace and growth. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Then, one by one, representatives nodded, some with respect, some with cautious optimism. It was clear, humanity had earned recognition. Their journey from reckless explorers to respected allies had been remarkable. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted. Humans cheered not just for survival, but for recognition. They had faced the consequences of ignoring warnings, but through courage, creativity, and cooperation, they had earned respect across the galaxy. Captain Mira Solis looked out at the stars from the council chamber, thinking of everything humanity had endured. The journey had been long and dangerous, but it had shaped the species into something greater. Humans were no longer naive. They were resilient, intelligent, and capable of rising to any challenge. Jonas approached quietly. Captain, we did it. Humanity has finally earned respect. Mira smiled. Yes, Jonas, but this is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast and challenges will continue. We must continue to learn, adapt, and grow. Humanity has proven that we can rise above danger, but we must never stop striving to be better. The Council formally welcomed humans as full members of the interstellar community. Humans could now participate in trade, diplomacy, and collaborative exploration. They had earned a voice among civilizations that had once seen them as reckless or dangerous. For Captain Mira Solis, the moment was deeply personal. She had warned, guided, and protected humanity through the most dangerous times. She had seen mistakes, consequences, and victories. And now, she watched as humanity stepped confidently into its new role, ready to face the galaxy with courage and wisdom. As the Intrepid returned to human space, Mira reflected on the journey. Humanity had survived warnings, faced consequences, built alliances, and proven its worth. The galaxy had tested them, and humans had risen to the challenge. The stars outside shimmered brightly, each one a reminder of the vastness of the universe. Humanity had learned that courage alone was not enough. They needed understanding, strategy, and cooperation. But most importantly, they had learned that even in the face of great danger, humans could rise, adapt, and thrive. The journey had begun with warnings and mistakes, but it ended with respect and hope. Humanity had earned a place among the stars, proving that their spirit, creativity, and determination could overcome any obstacle. Captain Mira Solis looked forward, knowing that the galaxy held infinite mysteries, dangers, and opportunities. Humanity was ready. They would continue to explore, learn, and grow, proving that they were not just survivors. They were a species capable of greatness. And so, the story of humanity's rise in the galaxy reached a new chapter. One of recognition, respect, and promise. The stars, vast and infinite, now held a species that had faced the consequences of recklessness and emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to take its place among the greatest civilizations of the universe.